know is that nothing happens by chance, that we're all here by divine appointment. I also acknowledge and extend our salutations to our viewing audience that you tuned in at this moment because of a divine appointment. And when we hear that still small voice of God, which is the voice of intuition, the psalmist said, "Be still and know that I am God." Now what that means is that that psalmist was tuned in energetically. There was an energy, be still and know. And in that knowingness, I am God. That we are all co-creators energetically with that energy that we choose to call God. Now, interestingly enough, that Dr. Sano, in the Biology of Spirit, which I believe that Dr. Bruce Lifton, that must have influenced him greatly in his book, The Biology of Belief, because he mentioned a divine protoplasmic energy within each of us. I call it the DNA of God, that we are created in the image and likeness of a power greater than we are, that we are co-creators with it, that we are not these little beings sitting in the corner waiting for this parent figure to direct us as to what to do. We have a responsibility to ourselves, others, and ultimately the planet, and have been imbued with this sacred energy, the energy of a higher consciousness. And it doesn't matter what we choose to call it, God, Yahweh, Atman, Buddha, it matters not, but to realize that which is within us is greater than that which resides in the world out here, which is temporal. It is conditions, it's effects, it's appearances. It's a temporal world. It's facts, Ernest Holmes said. These are the facts. And I have had somebody tell me recently, well, you live in such a fantasy world. I said, but looks like fantasy to you is reality to God. Because energetically, thoughts are things, words are molds, and are always forming an energy field. And this so-called fantasy world is stepping from the temporal world of conditions, the relative world of conditions, appearances, and effects, to the truth of our being, that is the changeless reality of God consciousness within each of us. There is a place in us that has never been touched by grief. It has never taken offense nor given offense. It is the place of our heart center of God, the energy of spirit, the heart being the doorway to the soul. So when and it is interesting because I feel that people that are not in this way of life feel that we do live in a kind of fantasy world. And he said, well, the doctor said this, this, and this. You know what? Doctors are human beings. There are times that doctors say, I've done all I can, it's up to God. Bernie Siegel is one. He wrote Love, Medicine, and Miracles. He's an oncologist. And I've spoken many times for the International New Thought Alliance with him on the platform. That the patients that take responsibility for their health are the ones that are healed. Not just cured, healed at a DNA cellular level. The bioplasmic streamers that unite us with this amazing energy field of spirit. And that when we get it, that we transcend the everyday. We transcend race-conscious belief, which Dr. Ernest Holmes said, the prolific negative thought of the ages. That if you go into the Science of Mind textbook, in the glossary, there's a whole wonderful passage on ether. That there is an etheric field. That what we know is that within the 5 key elements, the thumb represents the earth, water, fire, air, and ether. That when we put our hands together, we are igniting the 5 key elements of life, that ether. And that there are no secrets of the universe. My daughter was telling me about a friend of hers, that she wanted to go out with the girls to their favorite Mexican restaurant, and her husband was a little wary of it because, he didn't want her drinking too much, right after New Year's. And she said, oh no, I'll be home by midnight, it'll be just great. So she went out with her friends, and they were doing the cucaracha, and they had the mariachis, and they were just feeling no pain after a few margaritas, having a good old time. And before she knew it, the clock struck midnight, but they were having such a good time, and they were laughing, and they were in joy, and just sharing with a carefree abandon. And she crept into the house, And the cuckoo clock went off. Cuckoo, 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 3 times. And she said, oh, damn. So she thought, she was quick-witted. I'll just add to it. Cuckoo, 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 cuckoo. 9 more times. That means she got in at midnight, right? So she was so proud of herself. She was just like, So the next morning she gave her hubby a big hug, and he said, oh, did you have fun? She goes, oh, we had such a great time, and I was home by midnight. He said, oh, that's just so great, honey. We need to get a new cuckoo clock, though. She goes, why is that? He said, well, I heard it cuckoo 3 times, and then I heard, oh, damn. And then it cuckooed another 3 times, and I heard a giggle, like this giggling. And then it cuckooed another 3 times, and I heard it hit the table, fall down, and burn. I need a new cuckoo clock. So there are no secrets in the universe, are there? We think we're going to outdo the universe, right? There are no secrets in the universe. Everything is revealed. So when Jesus said, and they know your thoughts before you think them, he was just so clear. And when he attuned his vibratory frequency to the frequency of the higher energies of the universe, his disciples could not look upon him. There was so much light and so much energy that and they couldn't touch him either. They could not touch him, that he was at such a high frequency of energy. And when we raise our vibration, we are no longer receptive to the things of this world. We are no longer receptive to what goes on in the outer field, because it has been going on for centuries. Wars, rumors of wars, plagues, pestilence, all of that. But when we raise our vibratory frequency, we can then, as the ancient Bodhisattva, be in the marketplace with healing, helping hands to assist others. We do not give handouts in our way of life, incidentally. We give a hand up. And most of the people that you see volunteering around the world for food banks and various other organizations, they say, I was there once myself. And I rose up out of that energy field so that I could then serve. I could give sacred service, not seeing each person as poor and weak and the poor things, but seeing them as powerful, and they're having a moment in their life where they need support. Here's a hand up. And when we give that hand up, we are raising the vibrational frequency of ourselves, others, and ultimately the planet. I'm going to be teaching a class in the teachers of the Far East, the life and teachings of the masters of the Far East. And what they could do is they could materialize and dematerialize through their very thinking. And I believe energetically that we can raise our vibration, and I believe that what that means is raising the vibration up and beyond the appearances, the conditions, and the effects of life. That Dr. Deepak Chopra said, why do we get old? Because we see other people get old. It is a race-conscious belief that we're to get old because others get old. I have an almost 89-year-old fairy godmother that they walk up to her on the street and say, there's something about you, there's a light. May I hug you? I was in her presence. And a woman came up and said, oh, your energy, may I have a hug? And I said, what you don't know is that this is my fairy godmother. And you have just been sprinkled with all this energy. And I said, you are raised up in her energy field. And we were on our way into Jensen's to have a coffee. And it was just wonderful how that works when people see that light and they want to touch you. They want to be in your energy field because there's something about you that's a bit different, that doesn't move into the lower frequencies, the energy wave of ain't it awful and all the stuff that's going on. There are some tragic things that go on in the world as we know it. But if we believe that their energy is neither destroyed nor created, that there is a bioplasmic streamer between us and our divinity, the DNA, the cellular energy of whatever we conceive our God to be, that we are forever connected. And scientists have proved that when we make our transition, the 0.13 ectoplasm that leaves the energy field moves into a soul substance. that we are here a very short time. And while we are here, let's be here. Let's be here now, totally present. The precious moment. That's why it's called a gift. It's the precious present. So today, as we come together on this first Sunday of the year, to make that commitment and that declaration that when we use the sacred I am, to do it in a way that forwards and advances ourselves, others, and ultimately the planet. To recognize that there is a sacredness in all life. That even the profane becomes sacred, as many of you have proved in this room. It's so interesting how that works energetically, that we lift it up and we just keep lifting the energy field. And as we lift the energy field, something happens. Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, very well known for his Sherlock Holmes mysteries, right? And I'm such a buff, I have to tell you. He was so taken by two little girls. One was 8 and one was 12. They were in the beck in Yorkshire, and they were with the waterfalls and nature. And they stole, just for a moment, their father's camera, went running through the beck in Cottingley. And suddenly fairies appeared, and they took 3 photographs. Now, they had lost the mother of the one, Frances. There was Frances and Elsa. Elsa was the 12-year-old, and her little cousin was Frances, and her father was away in World War I. And she would pray that her father would come home because he went missing. And she wanted to know, Auntie, what does gone missing mean? And she said, well, it just means that they can't find him at the moment, but he's somewhere. She goes, I believe that. He's somewhere. And as they did their little thing out in the back, in their beautiful little energy field, her mother, Elsa's mother, sent the photographs to Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, who then created an energy and a whole entourage to go to this little village in Cottingley, in Yorkshire, and meet with them. And the mother said, Sir Arthur, do you think the photographs are real? And he turned, and he'd lost his son in the war. He said, oh, you're her mother. I can barely fumble for the truth. You're her mother. What do you think? She said, well, Elsa has never lied. And I look at these photographs, and I am in amaze because it's not part of my reality. But I believe her. And I believe little Frances. So Sir Arthur Conan Doyle took them to Kodak Eastman. They had a nice board. And it was recorded that they said, well, these are very crudely done. This was not a professional who took these. And they started doing all the technical things. And Sir Arthur said, it was sort of like cut to the chase. Stop all this nonsense with the technicality. Are they real or not? And they said, well, we believe that they are real, but we will not sign anything that says that. And it was amazing because in this book, it's called The Coming of the Fairies by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, he put in the Strand magazine the pictures that they had taken with Frances and Elsa. And then they disclosed later that they had told the fairies, because everybody descended on the beck wanting what this energy was and disturbing the energy of the meadow. And they made an agreement with the fairies that they would tell everyone that really they weren't real. But later on, little Elsa said, yes, they were real, but because everything was so disturbed in our little beck, we promised the fairies that we would say they weren't real. So energetically, Sir Arthur Conan Doyle and his assistant said that he believed the girls were clairvoyant, clairaudient, and mediums. That they had lifted their vibratory frequency to see things that others could not see unless the energies lowered their frequency so others could see them. So if we look at all and I love the story, because here is Sir Arthur Conan Doyle a man of repute, a man of writing, a man that was making a difference. That could say, what do you think? You are her mother. What does your energy, your heart say? And why I love that is, what does our heart say? Do we know what is real in our own lives? And if we have to ask, is this real? Guess what? We don't know. When we know that we know that we know, we rise up on wings as an eagle. We will walk and not weary. We will run and not faint, as the Bible states. We will know that we know that we know, and not even the gates of hell shall prevail against us, because we know that we know that we know that we're all created in this amazing spiritual protoplasm. We're in the amniotic fluids of God. We decide to come into this world to make our mark, to fulfill our destiny, and to do what we can where we are with the tools that we have. And I so deeply, deeply believe that. And it was interesting, last night, my kids came in, and my daughter looked at my face and she said, for some reason I thought you were going to look like Grandma when you were your age. Oh my God. And I said, Grandma was old when she was 40 and made the declaration to the universe. She said, I'm 40, I am, the sacred I am, old. Now, my mother was beautiful, and she looked like that wonderful movie star in Gone with the Wind, Vivian Leigh, was that it? She looked just like her. She was just lovely. When she turned 40, she said, I am old. Now, this is my last year of the 60s, and I am a child of the 60s, let me tell you. And I do yoga, I am a vegetarian, I do things that I feel that will lift my vibratory frequency, and that I want to be all that I can be in this way of life, and I want to grow and learn every day of my life as well. Yes, I've achieved a certain level of mastery. Do I have challenges? Yes. And when I look at these challenges, I take them and I feel like this is a sacred gift from the universe after I go through my own little discharge of the energy. That this is a sacred gift, and I am here to learn, to grow, to unfold, and to be all that I can be. To be the best spiritual leader that I can be. To really put these principles in place so that I can be a living transparency to the truth that sets us all free to be who and what we are. So when people say, oh, don't tell your age. No, why? It's only a number. What's that about? It's just a number. So when we can get it, that we are deathless, timeless beings of light. That there is a biology of spirit within us. That we arise through this energy triumphant and victorious. That we are innately who we are. And that is good and very good. So today, as I address you with profound esteem and love, and the recognition of that oneness that we are. That when we embrace the energy of the universe within one another, and we melt in the beauty of that moment, of that knowingness and that consciousness. So I say namaste, Happy New Year, one and all, that we open ourselves to the miracles, to the miraculous, to the magic that's there for each of us by stepping out of the relative into the eternal moment of now. God bless you. I love you, and namaste.